had driven all the way from Morton. Yes, that little town where you have never been.
Now, how you made your dent. Now, you started, as far as the entertainment business is concerned, with the PTA Follies in Morton. Is this right? What kind of a town is Morton?
Well, Morton is 2 blocks long. It has 1,140 people, and quite a few of those are children. The logging community.
It's essentially, it's a logging community, and I suppose it fluctuates, its prosperity fluctuates
with the weather.
Well, you were here in Morton, and how did you get involved with the Morton Follies?
Well, you know, it's kind of something that you do out of, really, as I say, I once read where the mass of men live lives of quiet desperation, and until you have lived in a little town like this, you'll never know what desperation can be, and everybody is searching for something to do, you know, and I think that's how I became involved in it. Of course, I've always been a frustrated ham, and loved to do anything connected with shows, and when I was a child I wanted to be a movie star, you know how it goes.
So you started the Follies. What were they?
Well, they were a terrific show. You know, I will argue with anyone who says it wasn't a good thing. We did them for 6 years, and they were about 2 hours long, a typical variety show using all the home talent. We sometimes had 100 people, most of the time, 100 people in the cast. And everybody's got a little bit of ham in them, you know, and gee, those people would get up there and just give the most terrific performances. They were wonderful.
What kind of things you do? Just usual variety?
Well, I wrote the thing always was written, borrowed, stolen, directed, and produced by Gracie, Hansen.
Female Orson Welles,
yes. And I would write little blackouts, you know, trying to use the people who I knew wanted to participate. And then we always had a chorus line. We had 10 of the young housewives. I think one time we figured up and they had about 26 children between them, but I would get a dancing teacher to teach them how to dance, and they worked real hard, and they were terrific. They really were. And we had a real variety, you know, of acts.
And these were always in the form of benefits. They were to make money for something.
PTA got all the money. One year they bought chairs for the auditorium, and then they had a dental fund to fix teeth for children who...
How much did you raise with these?
Oh, we used to make around $1,000.
I'll be darned. In Morton?
Yes.
Well, you must have drawn people from...
Oh, we did. They came from Seattle and all over. It was terrific. And then for the last 3 years, we were taking some of the show out on the road, you know. We would go to Tacoma and perform for the Fifi Temple of the Shrine. We went to the Elks Clubs in Centralia and Chehalis, and it was a lot of fun.
Whatever happened to the Follies?
Well, as I say, the shows got too adult in this way, you know. Some of these people would get carried away, and they would say, gee whiz, Gracie, you know, I've got to have a little fortification before I can get up there and make a fool of myself. And I sometimes wish I were clever enough to write some of the things that they came up with, but some of the things were just too adult for the PTA.
And so it dwindled.
Yes, we kind of just stopped it.
Well, how many years or how long before you went to Seattle and eventually got tied up with Century 21 did the Morton Follies?
Oh, just a year. My last Morton Follies was in 1958. And you see, I used to work all winter on them. This was my project for the winter, and then that winter I had nothing to do. And I was very ill and very broke and feeling very sorry for myself. And I had a friend who came over and gave me this pep talk, you see, that, gee, look what you did with the Morton Follies. Why don't you go up to the Seattle World's Fair? And of course, I thought she was absolutely right.
I was going to say, on the face of it sounds ridiculous, but you don't. This is a difference.
Well, sure. So you see, then I began to think about it, and I quit feeling sorry for myself, and I got well immediately, and it gave me something to work on. And oh, the winters are miserable up there. Snows and blows and rains and pours. I used to not open my curtains, you know, for my drapes for a month at a time because I couldn't stand to look out at it. And every time I had an ache or a pain, I went running to the doctor, and I was looking for some kind of an illness. simply because I was so bored. I had nothing else to occupy my mind. And I had gotten into a rut. People get into ruts, you know, and the only difference between a rut and a grave are the dimensions, really. To me, there has to be more than just not being hungry or not cold. I mean, you might as well be a potato in the ground or something, you know, and vegetate. There was a time in my life probably when I felt and when I did do many, many things that I really didn't want to do, but I felt I had to do them either to belong or be accepted or something like that. A lot of people are afraid of what other people think. You know, what will people say or what will people think? Well, who gives a damn? You know, why should you? If I had listened to all the opinions, I would still be a very unhappy, frumpy, fat housewife in Morton.
Now I'm going to give you a key, a golden key. Now I know you don't need this to get into Morton. I know that you don't need it to get into the hearts of all your friends. But this little presentation is a memento from you, from us to you, and with continued success in your show business in Morton.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to hang it over the front door. Thank you so much. In my experience in show business in the last 6 years since I left Morton, sometimes I say I have no business in show business, but I have worked with and met all kinds of professional people from all over the United States and some of the very top names in show business. And I still have never met a finer group than my Morton All-Stars. And I did notice that the population sign when I left here said 1,140, and today it says 1,188, so something's been happening while I've been gone.
What does it take to do what you've done? Does it take intelligence or brass, or does it take stupidity or foolishness? What does it take to come from Morton, a town of 1,100, 1,400 people, and go to Seattle and set up your own extravaganza, and not only that, but to do it successfully as you've done?
Well, Al, it takes a little bit of ignorance. You know, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Sometimes if you don't know that something can't be done, you find that it's quite easy to do. Because I was a fat, frumpy, unhappy housewife for years. And all my life I tried to please other people. No matter what I did was wrong. So one day I thought, to hell with them. From now on, I'm only going to please myself. Well, the world is full of all kinds of wonderful talent. But unfortunately, honey, in Portland, Oregon, you get such a small share of it. I was never built like that, honey, or I would have been a chorus girl myself. I was never built for the romantic leads, and I always ended up program chairman. That's how I got my start in this business, you know, program chairman for the PTA in Morton. Dance. I'm kind of a happy accident. Happy for me, that is. All I know is that these people want to take a look at me, and I don't want to disappoint them. So I get up and I do something, you know. And housewife is to raise a little more hair and a little less eyebrow.
You thrill to her in the Morton Follies. You loved her at the Seattle World's Fair. Flock to see her at the Roaring Twenties Room. Now, filling the screen, in her motion picture debut, Miss Gracie Hansen in Don't Throw Stones.
Look at me. I got no talent.
A bit of local history. The woman known as the Red Hot Mama of the Seattle World's Fair is dead. Gracie Hansen died this week down in Los Angeles. Como's Brian Johnson covered the 1962 World's Fair and Gracie's escapades.
For those of us who've lived in Seattle since it was a small town, these grounds, the site of the 1962 World's Fair, have memories. And some of those memories have a name.
This is Gracie Hansen. Gracie Hansen wrapped in furs, feathers in her hat. Gracie Hansen and her girls, who definitely didn't wear fur coats and who Gracie wanted to wear even less. She ran Paradise International at the fair, where her long-legged girls drew the longest lines. And when Seattle women protested a father-son night at the Follies, Gracie countered with a fashion show for the women. Outrageous Gracie.
He always knew how to turn something into a good, funny, somewhat light promotional story. She just kept out there in front the whole time. We treasured her, and I think that the public accepted it eventually very much for what it was.
But Gracie also cared for Seattle and its children, playing Santa for crippled children. And later, just for fun, she ran for governor of Oregon.
I feel I know what the average Oregonian wants. In fact, I try to get a little myself every now and then.
Gracie Hansen died Wednesday at 62. Her memory didn't. I'm Brian Johnson, Como News.
Get the people to clap and cheer. Just say hell yes and agree.